Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. We want to welcome everyone here. It's fun to see all of the teachers here who are going to receive recognition and your families here to support you. We have tonight Dell Hansen, our business administrator, Terry Rhodes, board member, oh my gosh, Jeff Nielsen, board member, Alan Grunig, board member, I'm Kathy Christiansen, board member, and Roger Pulsifer, board member, Steve Norton, our superintendent, Randall Bagley, board member, and Larry Jepson, board member. And we'd like to begin with the pledge and our district goal, and the superintendent's going to lead us in that tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our mission is to educate students for success in a changing world.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to get going with our recognitions, but right before we do, I would just like to share part of a little article that came out in the Desert News concerning our superintendent. And this was given to me. It was an article that was written about Park City's superintendent, and I'm just going to read a little short part of it because it does give some accolades to Superintendent Norton for the great job that he's done, and we're just really happy that he got recognized
Well, thank you.
in this. Okay, so this was by the quote was from the Park City superintendent. The tenure of Park City superintendents when compared to other school districts in Utah has been relatively short, the longest serving 6 years, she said. Recently, there have I think there's a word missing here. There have three superintendents in 6 years. Conley began her tenure as superintendent for the district in 2013. You look around the state of Utah, and we have superintendents that have been career superintendents, 10, 15, 20 years. You look at Steve Norton in Cache School District, who has led the 17,000 student district since 1996, she said. You look at longevity with student achievement, and he has one of the best districts in the state because of his consistent leadership along with the consistent board, Conley said. And we agree and appreciate very much all of the great work that you have done.
Don't forget the board part of that, because it doesn't happen without the board part. But thank you.
Well, and yes, and we do have a good board who works really hard to try and make sure things are working well, so we appreciate all of you as well. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started then with our Teachers of the Year. And we will begin with Canyon Elementary. The teacher who's being recognized is Rocky Kendrick, and that will be by Principal Williamson.
I get the mic,
Get the medal?
and you get the medal. Well, I'm going to try not to gush, and gush, and gush, and gush. That's what I'm going to try and not do. Because I could stand up here and talk for many, many minutes about Rocky and how amazing she is. I have been so lucky to work with Rocky for 9 years. Is this your ninth?
This is my 11th year total, but 9 years.
Oh my gosh, where did it all go? So yeah, because I started in 2005 working at Canyon Elementary, and then Rocky started as a kindergarten teacher right across the only room that was available for kindergarten across from my 5th grade classroom. So we had this cute little kindergarten class right in our little pod of 5th graders, and I got to get to know her so well. I also got to teach all 4 of her daughters in my class. So I can gush and gush because not only is she an amazing teacher, but I consider her a dear friend. She is wonderful. She is wonderful, wonderful. So, in order to keep me on track, though, I will mostly just talk from all of the points that the staff has said about her. It was very easy this year because it was just many people nominating Rocky. I mean, we have lots of wonderful people on staff, but it was a landslide. I had a hard time picking one, but I love and admire Rocky so much. I've looked up to her since I was a little girl. She cares a great deal for the other people, and she also all the love she shows. I'm grateful that she is our leader and facilitator and a STEM person for our staff. These are 2 jobs that take many extra hours of work, and she does it with a smile. I hear great things from her students about the things they learn and how enjoyable class is. I admire her and look up to her. She is always happy. This is true. She is always happy. She seems to be the teacher that takes on a lot of responsibilities and always gives 110%. Rocky is a rock. She has a soft-spoken voice about her in all situations. She cares about students and wants to help them the very best way possible. She's a team player and cares about others in and out of the school. She is just simply a great example to be around. Rocky is a team player and very hardworking. She notices what her students need and fills the gaps. She communicates with her team and the faculty information that is needed. She is a great example of a leader of me, and I feel should be Canyon's Teacher of the Year. Just so you do know, she really does take on so many extra responsibilities at our school. She's our Leader in Me facilitator, which is a huge job. And she voluntarily went ahead and got her STEM endorsement the last couple of years through Utah State, which is somewhat unusual sometimes when you see a second grade teacher do that. Usually you'll see fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade teachers pursuing that, but she wanted to bring more science into her classroom. So she's willing to go to that extra mile of time away from her family so that she can not only benefit her students, but benefit the entire school. She is that kind of person. So it is easy to say thank you for all of your service, and you are the best, the best, the best.
I don't know what I could add to that because it's very humbling to be told that you're the Teacher of the Year, because just right across the hall I have mentor teachers who have made teaching a good place to be for me. And I also look at my husband and my daughters, because I raised my girls until my youngest was ready to go to school, and I didn't know if I wanted to go into teaching, but I had lots of mentors come and ask me, you can do this, you can do this, and my family supported me. I couldn't do this without them and without support like Stacy and Cheryl, and I love what I do. It's a joy to be in the classroom with the students that I have, and I love teaching.
Thank you.
Thank
We'd
you.
like to get a picture. Will you wait right there? We would like to get a picture of each of the teachers. And could you have your family stand so we could recognize them, Rocky?
Family needs to stand.
Family stand. Okay, next we would like to recognize Peggy Porter from Greenville Elementary, and Principal Ashcroft will be making that recognition.
There, get you right over.
29 years ago, Peggy Porter and I arrived at North Park Elementary School. And when I first met Peggy, my first thought was, well, Richard Roberts has hired one of those gifted students from Utah State, because I knew she had graduated from college, but I also knew that she couldn't be over 14 or 15 years old, maybe 16 at a stretch. And what I found out later is that at least one of those things was true and one was false. She was a little older than she looked when she was that age. But also, the other thing that was true is she is gifted. And Peggy Jo Porter has been a gifted first grade teacher for all of that time. She has also had the opportunity to be part of a team at Greenville and at North Park that is the poster children for what a PLC and what teamwork should look like. And so I asked them to write something for her, and I think the best thing I can do is read this from what her friends have to say. This is Peggy Jo's 29th year in education, and she has spent the entire time in first grade. Her career started at North Park, and for the past 8 years, she has been at Greenville, from her first principal, Richard Roberts, until her current principal, Dee Ashcroft. She also goes the extra mile to help her children. She has provided shoes and socks for students who need them. She has paid lunch accounts for families who are in need. She provided school supplies for her students and fills many other needs for her students. It comes naturally for her to help others. One of the ways she brings art into the classroom is by participating in the Opera for Children's program. She has been doing operas in her classroom for over 15 years. She has her students write the words, music, and paint the scenery, as well as perform for the school and parents. Past children still say it was the highlight of their year. She uses many ways to build self-esteem in her students. An example is she gives great day stickers, and emails positive notes home to their child for the child's good day. Her students are able to earn rewards for their academic and behavioral achievements. You can always hear her saying positive things in her students as they walk into her classroom. She has a calming influence on her students. She develops a positive relationship and friendship with parents, university students, and other teachers. She keeps in touch with them and is interested in what happens in their life. Years later, they are still coming to visit. Many families have had all their children in her first grade class. They love her. She is willing to collaborate with other teachers. She shares new and exciting ideas she is using in her classroom. She is very creative. She is a problem solver. She comes with many varied ways to help children learn using strategies that they can relate to. She has a wonderful sense of humor. Others want to be around her. And it is my privilege to present Peggy Jo Porter as Greenville's first grade teacher extraordinaire, Teacher of the Year.
I have nothing to say, but thank you, and thanks my school sisters and friend back there. Teaching is a wonderful job, and it's because of good people and good kids you get to work with.
We'd like to get a picture of you, Peggy.
Picture.
And could we have your family stand, Peggy? Do you have anyone here? Yeah, that's my family. All right. Okay, the next one that we would like to recognize is Marty Reeder from Skyview High, and Vice Principal Hanks will be the one who will present.
We're glad to have the opportunity to honor Marty. He is quite a guy. If anyone knows Marty, they know he's. You know him? Good. That's good. His own children know him, and he's got a lot of children at school too. He promotes learning. Marty, he loves learning. He promotes it, and he also promotes reading a lot. You can see that he's got a pair of cargo pants on. He always has a book or two in his cargo pants. He's known for that around the school. And his promotion of reading has caught on. His promotion of cargo pants, not so much. And he's still hopeful for that day. They're hard to find now. I've looked around for them, and they're difficult to come by. I think he gets them online somewhere. But he's carrying a book with him. This is long overdue for Marty, and if I don't read this, if I look at him, and I'll start to laugh. So I'm just going to read this about Marty. He's always making everybody laugh at school. We're pleased to announce that Marty Reeder's been selected as our Teacher of the Year for Skyview High School for this 2017-2018 school year. He's been an extremely important part of our faculty for about 13 years? 13 years? All right, and is very involved with the students inside and outside of the classroom. He is a true Renaissance man. His teaching assignments have included Spanish, language arts, history, swimming, and newspaper. As a graduate of Logan High School, and Utah State University, he's a homegrown product. He's a Cache Valley boy. And he seems to always be in a good mood. I have never found him in a bad mood, which makes you wonder what's going on most of the time. And usually something is going on. He is a published author. He's published his first book, How to Become a Pirate Hunter. He knows, his kids know about it. He's been down signing his books and selling his books, and are they on Amazon? Is the book on Amazon now?
They'll publish anyone now.
Okay. So it's obvious that he enjoys reading and writing. He's our current language arts department head. He's known to carry a book with him at all times, like we mentioned. He's the driving force behind student publications like the Catonian and the Catalyst. He's able to assist his students as they create amazing work and are always having fun at whatever's happening in his classroom. He sponsors the Readers Club, kind of self-promoting, I would say, but Readers Club, which is always a draw for many students. They have bright red shirts and they walk around the school like they own the place. And yeah, he does too. He's been an advisor for other clubs like the Cuttlefish Comedy Club, the Ballroom Dance Club, the Key Club, the Quidditch Club. So he's a pretty good sport. He's also been a very dependable promoter and participant in the Faculty Basketball League, even had t-shirts made up, the FBA, Faculty Basketball League. And he does have sharp elbows. I've been on the end of those on several occasions. He's been married to his wife Bonnie for 13 years, 13, lucky 13 again. And they're the proud parents of 5 children, ranging from ages 1 to 11. And it makes you wonder what he does in all his spare time. Whether it's faculty basketball, helping with an assembly, advising a student club, he is involved and enthusiastic about whatever's happening at school. Most teachers, you know, you can remember at least one complaint or problem you've had with a teacher. And I can't remember that with Marty, because he's always positive, and maybe people are afraid to complain about him, I don't know. But that says a lot. He's a hardworking educator with a smile on his face and always some reading material on his person. It is apparent that he enjoys what he does, and he does it extremely well. His attitude is enjoyed by his students, and they can't help but like his class. Nobody ever wants to get out of his class. Everybody wants to get in his class. His skills as a professional educator are extensive, and the students love to be around him. He's a pleasure to work with, and his students are served both academically and otherwise in his classroom. So we'd like to present Marty Reeder. Congratulations, Skyview High School's Teacher of the Year for 2017-2018. I'm sure he has something to say.
Okay, how much time do I get? I am very appreciative of this award, and I have had bad moments, but they were all on the faculty ball court. So besides that, I honestly, this is the best job in the world, and there's not a day that I wake up that I don't want to go to work. Now, after the day's over, sometimes I'm ready to go home, but I honestly, it's my favorite. My family's been so supportive all the way through. I really appreciate that. And Dee Ashcroft took a chance on me and hired me, and he apparently hasn't regretted it, but I appreciated that, and I'll keep on doing it until they kick me out. So hopefully later rather than sooner. Oh, so family, you guys can stand up.
And we'll get a picture. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to Spring Creek's Teacher of the Year, Jan Jensen, and, okay. Amity Crosley, sorry.
As all these good people, they like to do things and busybodies and teach and get involved in the school, but they don't like to stand up here and be recognized for all those great things that they do. So I'm honored to be up here and to congratulate Jan on her award tonight. Jan is married to Steve Jensen. They have 4 children. Allie, who is married to Chase Watterson, and they are here tonight. Maddie, who is married to Taylor Graft, and they are down in Utah County going to school. She has Tate, who's a senior at Logan High, and then she has Jack, who is a 7th grader who goes to Spring Creek with us. So, yeah, he loves it. He loves being with his mom, as all those kids do. An interesting fact, Tate and Jack both are in a walking boot at this time on the same leg, right leg, right? Yeah, so we won't ask about that. Jan is an excellent educator as a teacher and our media specialist. She helps all those around her to become better. Jan began at Spring Creek Middle School teaching language arts and working with some of our struggling students there. She always had a unique, effective way and method of teaching her students and always strived to reach the challenging ones as well. She challenged them, she pushed them, she always pushed them to be authentic thinkers, readers, and writers, and she still does, even her capacity as a media specialist. She is always patient and persistent in working small miracles with those students that struggled and needed just a little more TLC and someone that they knew cared about them and wanted them to be successful. Last year, she just moved to our media specialist, and she still does all of the above with all of those students, but now she truly has an impact on all of our students there at Spring Creek. For an example, she'll bring in different classes. The Spanish class on Day of the Dead, they came in and they made little notes and letters to their deceased loved ones and ate Day of the Dead bread in there with her. Art classes, she brings them in. She did an ethics lessons with them. She also had them come in and do an artist research project. So she works with them, talks to them about things, and helps them through it. Math classes, she had them come in and they designed and created and constructed 3D dimensional shapes with straws and wire, I believe they used, and then displayed those in the media center. All of her classes, she does any research, the language arts teachers or any of the other teachers, if they need any other supplemental teaching, she volunteers. They come in the media center, she'll teach them whatever they need. In fact, I think almost every day she has a class in there that she's teaching and just really supports what the teachers do in the classroom and does a fantastic job with that. She's also working with Utah State University Instructional Technology Department in a research project where they get funding for various STEM projects, and then they bring them in, we introduce them to the kids, they work with them, and then they kind of look at how the kids do with them, and they have collective data, and they're doing a project with that she helps out with. She also, somebody was telling me this, our overdrive account for students at Spring Creek Middle School is the largest in current, yeah. Three times as big as other schools. So she does such a fantastic job with that. And checkouts, the kids using it and doing, accessing that and using it for their good. Jan has worked hard to make the Media Center a hangout spot for all of the students. Students gravitate to the Media Center because Jan tries to have something in there for everyone. She has tables set up to create, they have a Lego table, so kids that want to construct with Legos, they can go in there and do that. She has chalkboards that she just put in this year, so kids can draw on those, do art projects, whatever they would like to do. Most of the time it's clean, making a mess and clean, so we like that. She also has comfy chairs and couches for the kids to sit in where they can visit, or they can just sit and read and enjoy their experience there. There's always some learning activity that she has going on where the kids can come in there, or she has games set out where the kids can come in and play, so she has a little bit of something for everyone. Last but not least, wherever you need or whenever you need it, or even if you didn't ask, or as she's thinking about you, she just knows her readers, whether it's her students or the staff. She always has them in mind, and she'll come up and you know, here's a good book. I know you'll enjoy this over the weekend, over the break. You know, here's what you should check out and do. She's always so thoughtful and taking care of all of us and making sure we have what we need. So we appreciate everything that she does to help our students and our staff be successful. So congratulations to Jan Jensen, our 2017-2018 Spring Creek Middle School Teacher of the Year. I promised her she wouldn't have to talk. She wasn't feeling 100%, but.
Big thank you. It's my family. Big sacrifice.
And is your family here? Will you stand up, please? Rocky, Peggy, Marty, and Jan, we are so appreciative that we have you great teachers in our district, and really want to say thank you for the great work you do at your schools. I guess now is the time to escape if any of you want to get out fast. Yeah. Or you can stay. It's okay. When I'm up here, I forget everybody's names. That is the weirdest thing. Yeah, it's good to have you and Roger on each side. All right, there is no public input, so we'll go ahead and move along to our consent agenda. And I will take a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll move that we accept the consent agenda as it is.
I second it.
All right, go ahead and vote.
Mine didn't pop up. It says your authentication to the server has been lost. Please log back in. Happens every 10 minutes. So I vote yes.
So all the votes are in and unanimously in favor.
Okay, great. We'll move into the action agenda then, and first of all, we have a request for the approval of the River Heights Elementary School Land Trust Monies Adjustment. And Stephanie.
So last month, I just approached the board so that I could make an amendment to our plan. And just a quick review of that, I handed out just some copies that you could review about our plan, the adjustment we proposed, and it was to alter our goals to reflect what the achievement was at the end of last school year, and then to set a goal for a 3% increase in math proficiency, as well as in language arts proficiency rate for the school across the board. And then on the second to last page, it addressed the discrepancy of $1,000 that was unallocated. And so we'd like to request your approval to make that amendment.
Okay, anyone have any questions? Okay, I'll take a motion then to accept the request for approval of the River Heights Elementary School Land Trust Monies Adjustment.
I make a motion that we request the approval of the River Heights Elementary School Land Trust Monies Adjustment.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote.
Alan, I got yours this time.
Yeah, it came up, but I logged out and logged back in. 10 minutes, it'll be gone again.
All the votes are in and unanimous in favor of the motion.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Next, we will go ahead and have the request for approval of the new student clubs at Mountain Crest High School. Is there someone here? Oh, Mike, okay.
I know Doug came and talked to you last month about the clubs there at Mountain Crest, American Sign Language, the Archers Club, the Country Swing Dance, and the men's a cappella and the water polo. And they're having a Christmas party tonight and didn't invite any of us, so they weren't able to make it. So I told him I would help cover for him where he'd already presented it to the board members. So we're here asking for the final approval for these clubs for Mountain Crest.
Okay, anyone have questions? Okay, I'll take a motion then to approve the clubs at Mountain Crest High School.
I move that we approve the new student clubs at Mountain Crest High School as requested.
I second it.
Any discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote.
It's the most exciting part of the meeting is the silence during the voting, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, all the votes are in and unanimously in favor of the motion.
Okay, good. All right, we will move on to the next one then, which is the approval of the 2018-19 school year calendar.
Okay, and we had a good turnout this year. We had all the organizations represented as we got together and talked about 3 different options this year. And when we finally had our full discussions and they were able to go back and talk to their different groups, each of the 5-6 groups that came back and were able to offer the final input for the calendar, they were all the same consensus on the option number 2. And so what you have listed in board docs is showing calendar option number 2. You know, it's unique every year when the school calendar is actually talked about. It's all depends on when Christmas break hits. You know, then the calendar is built from there. And that seems to be the factor. We talked about, is there any way that we could actually start a little bit later in August and still end school in May? But, and we wanted 2 weeks for Christmas, and we want to continue to have a week of spring break. And is there any way we can have a longer fall break and still start later and end earlier? And I think we're getting to the point where they understand that we have to get those 180 days in there somehow. But anyway, it was a good group to work with. This is what we're proposing for the board to approve, is option number 2 for the 18-19 school year.
Okay, any questions? All right, I'll take a motion then to approve the 2018-19 school year calendar.
I'll make that
the motion
motion,
to approve the 2018-19 school year calendar.
and I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? All right, we'll vote.
Okay, all votes are in and unanimously in favor of the motion.
Okay, thank you, Mike, and thank you, Jeff. I'm sure it's a project, putting that
Very good.
together. All right, we have a few reports, and we will begin with Green Canyon High School student clubs. And that will be with Randy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mine is actually a request for 2 additional clubs to be approved by the board. Before we get too far into that, I wanted to note on one of the clubs, there was a student error in they didn't quite understand the process. So let me point that out to you. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but the Noodle Club, which is going to be pretty popular. Who doesn't like noodles, right? Under the financial section, number 6, the very bottom sentence there says, Mrs. Doan will keep all funds locked away and will be accessed only when club stuff is purchased. Let me clarify that for you. That locked away means that it's done through Mitzi, through the account at Green Canyon High. Mrs. Doan, in accordance with board policy, does not keep monies locked away in her room or anywhere else. It's all done through the school fund, through the school account there. So that's a clarification. The other club that we're requesting for approval is the 6th Hour Club, and that is just a good old-fashioned get-together and dance for a few minutes after school in the Commons. They'd like to be able to put on some dances every so often in the Commons area for kids to stay a half hour and dance and socialize.
Okay, does anyone have questions?
Yeah, because like the first thing on the 6th Hour Club application, our purpose is to increase involvement, morale, and excitement while decreasing stress and boredom. I mean, how do you have boredom at a new school already?
That's a good question. It's those AP classes, maybe, concurrent enrollment. So we have a lot of students with some difficult schedules, but it's hard not to smile at Green Canyon. It's a great place. We love it. Thank you for a wonderful school.
All right. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Hey, Randy, I want to know what the music's going to be like. Randy, I want to know what the music's going to be like at these dances.
Come and dance. Come and sing.
Come find out.
I don't think so.
It's all pop.
Okay, we will next hear about the high school graduation requirements.
Tim has been working on this one, and he's out of town, and I told him I would cover this for him tonight. And if any more of you have copies of blue stickers with notes, you can hand them to me anytime, and we will take care of the little corrections. And we know that when we first put these policies out, there'll be a few changes. But there's a lot of information in this policy, but what I want to do is summarize why we're changing it and what are the major changes on the policy. First of all, the last time this policy was updated was in 2006. And the reason why we're pushing for why we're changing and updating the policy is now we have 9th grade students in the high school. And instead of having 27.5 credits required, now it will be 26 credits required, because we've gone from the 6-period day to the 5-period day in that setting. So that's one of the big changes in the policy. And it's been highlighted. I mean, Tim went in here and did a lot of crossing out some words, different types of things. But like I say, I'm just giving you the big stuff on the policy. The next one is social studies has been a bit of a question in our district for quite a few years. 2.5 credits, but really if we're going to follow the letter of the law exactly the way the state states that, it should be 3 credits. So you're going to see that change in this policy. However, I'm hoping when the state school board spends a little more time this spring and they take a look at high school graduation requirements, that we might be coming back here talking about some changes yet in this policy. Because what we've really done is there are so many mandates on what the graduation requirements are. It's just taken away more and more options for the students to individualize their learning and have, and just have different options while they're in the high school. And I think this is an example of that. Another example has been last few years is we've had math required, 3.0 credits. And if you really take a look at a student's career pathway and what they're really planning on doing, it frustrates quite a few students because of that mandate on other things that they really could be doing and preparing themselves for a career. So the state board's really going to take a look at that. But right now, we're not changing any of that. The only thing we're doing is upping the social studies requirement from 2.5 to 3 credits. The next change in the policy, the state board has changed their name, and so we'll be changing the policy to have the correct name for the Utah State Board of Education. Another one is there is a new course requirement called digital literacy that'll take place in the high school. What we formerly had computer tech has been moved down, digital studies moved down to the 8th grade, and that'll start next year. And you'll see that when we start talking to you more about the middle school courses and requirements. And then the last part that you're going to see in this policy is the word SEOP, Student Educational Occupational Plan, that is being changed in most of the state documents, and the state keeps telling us to change that to the PCCRs, which is the Plan for College and Career Readiness. Okay, so everywhere you see in the policy where it said SEOPs, that's what you'll see as PCCRs. And then in the next policy I'm going to talk to you about, I'm going to really change that SEOP policy overall for our district that I'll be recommending. But those are the big changes in this policy. Just trying to correct it, get us up to date, and then wait for changes, I hope, this spring on it. So any questions?
All right.
I have a,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry. The rule that's referenced on graduation requirements, I thought the elementary and secondary school core curriculum was separate from high school graduation requirements in the Rule 277-700. Are they all contained in the same one?
When I looked at it today, when I pulled that up on the state website, I could either click on elementary, middle, or high school on the state website. And
Okay.
when it brought up the same law, you just click it to the different levels, and it took me into different places on the law
Okay.
for the graduation requirements.
Okay, any other questions?
We really won't be able to do much until we get that from the state board, correct?
No,
Mike?
we can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, then the SEP, SEOP board policy update.
And I just barely uploaded this afternoon at about 3 o'clock, so nobody's had a chance to target that and look for the little typos and different things in it. So I'm just anxiously awaiting for your little stickies on that one. but we will update it. But this is really a whole change to the policy in our current book, because it's all referencing SEPs and SEOPs. So what I've actually uploaded in tonight's agenda is the new policy. If you were to go into board docs and actually pull up what's active in the policy, it's totally different than this one. I would have just struck everything out and made a mess. So I'm just showing you what the new policy looks like. And the parts I want to bring up that's being changed is we are changing the word SEP and SEOP to the PCCR, Plan for College and Career Readiness. And I did spend some time talking with Gary because our old policy referenced SEPs and when they should be done and handled in the elementary schools. But as Gary and I talked through it, they really don't do that. What they do is parent-teacher conferences in elementary. And during that time, that's when they talk about anything that deals with, it's going to be limited talking about careers and those types of things. But if there is any conversation at that time, it'll happen during parent-teacher conferences. So that was all struck from the new policy. So you won't even see the word SEP, which is Student Education Plan, on that. But you'll see in the new policy, I'm addressing the PCCR that'll take place in the high school. In the grades, beginning grades 7 through 12, it's a continuous process. And I did attach copies of the laws to the policy that I referenced as I went through and made sure everything was current. Most of our information on our old policy was fairly accurate. It was mainly going in and changing the language of elementary and taking out SEP, SEOP. And then I shortened it just a little bit because there seemed to be a lot of duplication in the old policy. So I took it from like a 4-page document down to about a 2 in trying to bring that all together. So if
Do we have to make a bunch of changes in other policies with SEP, SEOP, or is this? Oh.
Those are the 2 main ones right now, because there was this separate policy is referenced in SEOPs and SEPs. So
Is there some way you can go on the computer and just say, change all SEPs and SEOPs to?
Well, you can do a word search on a document and do all that, but at the same time, I just took advantage of the time and just say, let's just push that policy to the side and put the current policy from the state in, because for 12, it's time to take a look at it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing
Things
that.
have changed on that.
So on this one, on the very top where it says status, and this is a draft, that it's updating current SEP and SEOP policy, can we just say retiring?
Yeah,
That we're retiring that SEOP?
Yeah, because that's what we would actually do is retire the old policy and then upload the new policy.
Okay.
And then we'll always have it in archive. If we retire it, it'll always be in archive that way. I don't know if Gary, you want to say anything about SCP's elementary level? Because it just doesn't.
Does anyone have a question?
Do they call them SUPs still?
Yeah.
Old teachers do? I should say veteran teachers do?
Tenured?
And we just made that up. Because of the SEOP, we changed ours to SEPs, just a student education plan. But it was just what's in a name. That's all it amounts to. So what they truly are is parent-teacher conferences, an opportunity for parents and teachers and students to sit down together and talk about how Johnny's doing. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
And the responsibility for the PCCR is the responsibility of the school counselors. It's their responsibility to manage those.
Okay. And that's what it'll be called in elementary and?
Elementary won't be called, it'll just be parent-teacher conference.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, okay.
Yep. This will only pertain to grades 7 through 12.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, the child abuse neglect policy update. Which will be Kurt.
Greetings. I just like to come back and change policies so I can see everybody again, so.
We like seeing you too.
Yeah. All right, so a few weeks ago, Mike and I met with DCFS because we have some principals, new principals that aren't getting into the buildings, and we're required to allow them to go into the buildings. So anyway, I was working on a memorandum to principals, and in the process of that, realized that necessitated a change to our policy for child abuse, which was back in 1995, so things have changed a little bit since that time. So what you have in front of you is a request for the policy change under child abuse and neglect. And there is, I need to strike out a wording. So under F1 and F2, there's a term, Memorandum 45, and I was under the impression that was for Homeland Security, and while there is a Memorandum 45, that's not what this is. So we just need to strike that from, that just comes from, as you know, as we're looking for policies, we kind of sometimes look at other districts' policies. This is their internal memo for that, so we're just striking that memo.
And there is a difference between 45A and 45?
Probably my typo on it.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. I'm embarrassed to say that with Kathy here, but, you know.
I didn't even pick that one up.
Oh, yeah. All right, any questions for me?
Not the easiest reading in the world, but.
Yeah.
I do have a couple little edits for it if you're interested.
Sweet. I'm always up for those.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, our monthly financial report. Yeah.
The report that you have on your tablet is for the end of November. And one thing I wanted to share with you tonight is that we did receive some revenue estimate revisions from the state office, actually the last of November, so we were able to squeeze a few of these in, and luckily most of those were the unrestricted or discretionary type revenue sources that we deal with most. And so with that, we actually picked up about $870,000 of additional revenue from what we had originally built the budget last June. So that keeps our budget sound right now. And the things that drove that, again, we're funded on prior year average daily membership plus growth. So when we looked at our estimate for last year's average daily membership, we actually overstated the kindergarten enrollment by 12 as to what we thought would be the average for the entire year. And on grades 1 through 12, we only missed it by 1, and actually had one more than we had planned. And the other thing that we didn't have when we built our estimate is knowing what the next year's October 1 count was going to be, and we've talked about that, but from what we built the budget on, we actually were 58 students shy of what we had estimated for kindergarten. And much of that, we believe, is part of the opening of the new charter school in Providence. To see the elementary schools around there that were all hit at that same level.
Have they come back yet?
I haven't seen them come back yet, at least not as of October 1. But we did have in grades 1 through 12, we picked up 222 more students than we had built in our budget estimate. So that's what really drove the increase in state funding for us. So that's good news. We're in great shape that way. If you go through the reports, you can see that really all of our budgets for salaries and benefits all look strong, which makes up about 85% of our general fund budget. And everything else is really looking good right now. So true, we made an unexpected purchase of a building that we hadn't planned when we built the budget. But the main budget that we operate with right now is unchanged from how we had built it initially. And so all those budgets are still holding strong, and we should be fine for this year.
Okay, thank you, Dale. I just want to mention one thing. A couple of months ago, I had a conversation with a very successful realtor here about how much it would cost us to get a new district building, and if he thought that I could find any people to contribute to that. And he said that for the type of building that we needed, it would probably need to be 17,000 square feet, and it would probably be about $10 million to do it. And that I could see if I could find anybody to raise the money or not, but he wasn't real positive about it. So just this last week, he said he thought we did a really great deal on getting that building. He said that is a very well-built building. He said, and that was the I can't remember the exact word he used, of a lifetime anyway, that we really had a good deal. So thank you to all of the district people who worked on that. I think that's going to be a good asset for us for a long, long time. Okay, committee reports for Bridgerland Tech. Roger?
Okay, it's by law that we have to report to the board the fees that are charged for the next school year. So if you just click on there, you can see the fees and some of the changes. Bridgerland also had to change some of their wording because of their accreditation. People made them change some things. So the wording's changed, the programs are still there, so you just need to look at that financial report so that you understand what's being charged.
Okay. Anybody have questions at all? All right. Then we'll go to the board president report. And the only thing that I wanted to remind you of, if you haven't done it, is to take the open meeting law training and test. And last time we had our meeting, Dale gave us a printout on how to do that. Do you remember getting it? So I'm wondering if we ought to have maybe that sent to everybody again.
Was that the one that's in the Power Up?
Yes.
Okay.
You got that one? Yeah.
Does it matter which level we do?
Well,
If we've done them all already?
4. You do level 4, but I can't get in. I can get in and take the training, but I can't take the test. And I've had 3 people there try to help me. But why don't you try it and see?
Okay.
I would like to think it's not just me.
I just did 2, but I had to do it 3 times to get 100%.
Yeah.
Because it was bugging me that I didn't have 100% on
Well,
it.
and I have 100% on that one too, and they said maybe that's the reason why we can't get in, or I couldn't get in, is because I had 100% on it.
Oh, so you already did? Okay.
But it wasn't this year.
Oh,
So,
well, I just did it last month.
oh, okay.
Can I give you a hint?
Yes.
The test doesn't change, so if you go through the first time,
Exactly.
write down your answers, and if you really want to get a good score, you can retake it, and just put the answers in as fast as you can, and you're done.
That's right.
Okay. Well, I'll keep trying, but I've kind of bugged everybody at the district, or at the state office, and they can't figure out why I can't take it, but it worked for you, so maybe I'll have to have you show me.
Do you have to take the test or just do the training? Because at Bridgerland, we went through at our last meeting and we did the open law training as a group.
I think you have to take the test, don't you, Dale?
Well, if you take the test, you can't take the test until you do the training.
Yeah.
The training segment before the test.
But if you've already done the training segment.
As long as you don't have 100% on it, you can take it again. Whichever one you want.
I don't have to worry about
Have you taken it before?
Yep.
So you've done the training. So can we say if you've done the training, we're good, or do we have to do the test?
Dale, why don't
Because
we?
everybody can get into the training, but
When
I
the
couldn't get
auditors
into the
check
test.
on that, they check on the system to see who's passed the test.
Oh.
That's really the.
So what
only
if it says you
indication
did?
they have who's had the training meets the law.
Yeah, there's no longer a Scouts Honor. I think you have to take the test.
So if you've already taken it, like I've taken all 4 of them.
Do you have 100% on all 4?
No, maybe I should go back and
So
take
just
of
try
those.
one that doesn't have 100%, see
Okay.
if you can get in.
Okay.
Hey, would it work if we just met here half hour before next board, well, we'd have to do it before
Yeah.
January, don't we? Okay.
Yeah, I'll just see if I can take the other one.
It does take a while to go through the training materials before the test. You can't do it like in 10 minutes. It takes a while to get through it.
Okay, well, give it a shot, everybody. I think those of you who haven't been here for 4 years probably can take whatever level you're at, and you'll be fine.
I've already done one this year.
You've done it, okay, all right. Okay, so just get that done then. And Superintendent?
You have a stack right there, if you would pass it on down, Kathy, right there. This is a memo from Paula Plant to Mike and Ann. Just one side is just kind of an overview, and the second side is a little invite to about 4 schools to clean up their act. And they're all aware of what needs to happen, and we'll follow through and make sure it happens. But that's just a little brief summary of the final reports for 2016-17. Okay, so you can read that at your leisure. Just to give you an update on the building, we're going to go the Pioneer and Settler route, and there will be some Pioneers sent down to the building at some point, plant our flag and claim the building, but I don't think there'll be a total move of the district office until after the school year. I just don't see how it could happen. The first thing we have done is realize that whoever picked the paint to cover up the red in the lobby was going to be probably persecuted for life. So we went outside and got a professional, what's her name? Laurel Wall, yeah. She picked the color, it's now on the wall, and we got some people who don't like it, but we just said, well, this was picked by a professional and we're gonna live with it. So it's been changed, the red's gone. It's a lovely color. It will work, okay? And I think everything from this point on, we'll just call a consultant in Wisconsin and say, what do we do? And they'll tell us and we'll do it. And then the arguments will be done. But we have had some really good discussions. Mike and Tim have been leading those about how do we divvy up the space in the building, and that's coming along pretty well. We have some, Kathy just pointed out to me an email that I had not read, but I think Mike probably had, about some of the people in the River Heights building wondering if this building is going to work as well for them as the one over there. And the one part that they did bring up is the handicap access, and that's a single-story building over there, and this is a multi-story building. So we'll work with them and figure it out. There will be some people who probably will stay in the old building, and that'll be basically by choice or by just the fact that, like, the freezer and the warehouse is there, so it's probably going to always be there, and the people who do that. So there'll be some by just wanting to stay, some have to stay because this is where it's best for their facility to be, and the rest of us will go down to the new building as quickly as possible.
Well, will any of the old building be torn down at all?
It's not in our plans.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you everyone for being here, and thank you to our district for all of your good work. We appreciate all that you do. And we'll go ahead and take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor, say yes?
Yes.
Okay, you will. All right, does everyone know how to get to my place?
So, let me ask you a
I know the
question.
back way, but is
If
it
I've gone
easier to
through
just
all
go
of
up
these-
the golf course way?